You hear the faint roll of waves against stone. Not the crash of storm surf, but the softer rhythm of water lapping at a half-forgotten shore. Somewhere nearby, a bell tolls once, and the sound drifts outward, muffled by mist. You can almost imagine that the bell does not hang in a tower above the living, but beneath the sea, its echoes rising through dark water as you breathe. You notice the stillness of a world caught between air and tide. The scent of salt clings to the air. The horizon is blurred, as though the earth itself is hesitating to show you what lies ahead. It is here, in the hush of water and stone, that we begin tonight's journey. The hidden cities lost beneath rising seas. Cities that once stood proud upon coasts and rivers, their markets filled with voices, their hearts warm with firelight, their walls painted with hopes for tomorrow. Now they are hushed beneath water, their stories blurred like ink washed from parchment. And yet, if you listen closely, you can still hear them. The faint rhythm of daily life, preserved in memory and sediment alike. The whispers of stone foundations lying in sand. The dreams of people who never imagined that the sea would rise to swallow them whole. You don't need to follow every detail. It is enough to drift with the rhythm of water, to let each story rise and fall like a tide. Tonight, we will move gently between lands and centuries, pausing in places where human life met the restless sea. Each place will be different, and yet connected by the same question. What happens when the ocean takes back what was once dry land? The waves press closer. The bell fades into silence, and you are ready to step softly into the past. Asterisk, asterisk. You open your eyes and see clear blue water. Sunlight filters down in wavering beams, illuminating stone streets that no longer hear footsteps. Pavlopetri, off the coast of southern Greece, is one of the oldest known submerged cities in the world. Nearly 5,000 years ago, it stood as a thriving port in the Bronze Age. Now, its walls lie only a few meters below the surface, resting quietly in the shallows. Divers who swim here see the outlines of houses, courtyards, and roads. The sand is fine, the water bright, the silence immense. Fish glide through what was once a marketplace. Seagrass sways where people once gathered at wells. You imagine the sound of sandals against stones, the laughter of children carrying jars, the hum of merchants counting goods. The city was not drowned in a single moment of catastrophe. Instead, it slipped slowly beneath the sea, as earthquakes shifted the land and rising waters crept inward. For those who lived there, the changes must have been subtle at first. A shoreline eroding, a wall cracking, a harbor silting. But year by year, the ocean pressed closer. Pause here. Picture the smell of salt on storm winds, the dim light of lamps burning in homes as people wondered whether their world would endure. Archaeologists have mapped streets that align with the setting sun, suggesting ritual as much as function. They found large storage jars, perhaps once filled with oil or grain. Even as the city slipped beneath waves, its memory lingered in myth. And now you float above it, hearing only the hush of water. The sea took Pavlopetri quietly, not in fury, but in patience. And so it rests now, reminder that even the oldest human places are never beyond the ocean's reach. Asterisk, asterisk, the sound changes. Now it is not the hush of waves, but the gentle ripple of a wide river. You hear birds overhead, their cries echoing across open water. Beneath the surface lies a city, once filled with passion and defiance, Canudos, northeastern Brazil. In the late 1800s, Canudos grew as a refuge for the poor, the exiled, the desperate. Led by a preacher named Antonio Conselheiro, thousands gathered here, building homes from mud and thatch, carving a life in the dry hinterlands. They resisted the reach of the new Brazilian Republic, living in a way that frightened elites. And so, war came. Imagine the crack of rifles, the smoke of cannon fire, the cries of thousands defending their home. In 1897, after brutal fighting, Canudos was destroyed. The survivors fled, the dead left behind. Decades later, another wave of destruction arrived. Not soldiers, but water. A dam was built across the Vazabaris River, creating a reservoir that swallowed the ruins of Canudos. Today, when the water level drops, cracked walls emerge from the shallows. Churches appear like ghosts, their bell towers half buried in mud. Pause here. Picture yourself walking along the shoreline, seeing stone arches rise from water like memories surfacing from sleep. The air is hot, the smell of mud sharp, the silence heavy. To some, the flooding of Canudos erased a painful past. To others, it was the final silencing of a place that had resisted power. But beneath the water, the ruins still hold their shape. And when drought lowers the reservoir, the city breathes again, reminding the world that no place is ever fully forgotten. Asterisk, asterisk, asterisk. Now you hear a different sound. The low, eternal murmur of waves against cliffs. The name that drifts through your mind is Atlantis. Though no ruins have been found, Atlantis remains one of the most enduring tales of a city lost to the sea. Plato described it in the 4th century BCE, a great island civilization, advanced and powerful, punished by gods for its pride, swallowed by the ocean in a single night. For some, Atlantis is pure myth, a cautionary tale told in the dim glow of Athenian lamps. For others, it holds a seed of memory, perhaps inspired by the eruption of Thera, when the island of Santorini exploded in fire and ash around 1600 BCE, sending waves across the Aegean and destroying cities on Crete. Pause here. Imagine the sound of thunder beneath the sea, the roar of water surging, the air thick with ash, a city's streets buried, its walls shattered, its people vanished. Whether or not Atlantis was real, it has endured because it speaks to a deep human fear that even the strongest civilizations can vanish in a single night. And it speaks also to wonder that beneath the waves, something extraordinary might still be waiting. You don't have to decide whether Atlantis existed. Just let the mystery drift around you, like fog rolling across a hidden bay. Asterisk, 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 the sound changes again. You hear the rush of tides across a wide, shallow sea. Beneath the waters of the North Sea lies a land once called Doggerland, a vast plain that stretched between Britain and Europe during the ice. Aged at 10,000 years ago, hunters and gatherers walked here. They lit fires of driftwood, cooked fish in clay pots, followed herds of deer across grassy plains. Rivers wound their way through valleys. Lakes shimmered in low sunlight, but as the ice melted and the seas rose, Doggerland shrank. Hills became islands. Valleys became estuaries. Finally, the whole land was gone, drowned beneath waves. Pause here. Picture the cries of birds over wetlands, the sound of axes carving wood, the laughter of children by streams. Then, picture silence. As water advances, forests vanish, and only the sea remains. Today, fishermen pulling nets from the North Sea sometimes find bones of mammoths, tools of flint, fragments of huts. Each is a whisper from a world now hidden. Doggerland was not a city, but a homeland, and its drowning reminds us that seas have always risen, reshaping the places where people live. Substory 5. Xichang, the Atlantis of the East, approximately 700 words. At last, you hear not waves, but the still, calm hush of a reservoir. Beneath the waters of Qingdao Lake in China lies the city of Xichang, known as the Lion City. Xichang was built over 1,000 years ago. Its streets lined with stone gates, its buildings carved with intricate designs. For centuries, it thrived at the crossroads of trade. But in the 1950s, when a hydroelectric dam was built, the valley flooded, and Xichang disappeared beneath the waters. Divers who visit today swim through archways perfectly preserved, their carvings still sharp. Roof tiles remain in place, wooden beams intact, protected by the stillness of the lake. Fish drift silently past windows where merchants once looked out. Pause here. Picture yourself floating in green-tinged water, drifting past lion statues and bridges, your breath bubbling upward. The silence is immense, the sense of time distorted. Shichong did not fall to war or earthquake, but to progress. It was sacrificed for power and electricity, for the light of the modern world. And yet, beneath water, it remains more intact than many cities above ground. Asterisk, asterisk, asterisk. The water is everywhere now. You hear it as tide, as rain, as silence pressing close. You have drifted through Pavlopetri in Greece, Canudos in Brazil, Atlantis of myth, Doggerland of prehistory, Xichang of China. Some were drowned by nature, some by human design, some by memory itself. Each tells the same story, that nothing built by human hands lasts forever. Walls crumble, roofs fall, seas rise, but each also reminds us of resilience. People moved, adapted, began again on higher ground. Stories endured even when stones were lost. Pause here. Notice how the sound of water feels steady, like breathing itself. Notice how each city, though gone, still lingers in imagination. Perhaps, even now, there are other cities waiting beneath the sea, unknown, unseen. Perhaps the ocean keeps its secrets, holding them gently in the deep. And you might wonder, as the waves fold softly into silence, when we are gone, what of our cities will remain? Will they too lie beneath water, waiting for others to find them, centuries or millennia from now? The question drifts unresolved. The water hushes, steady as sleep.